Carly, I had my first experience with actual, real, true range anxiety.
What?
Hi, it's Next Day Jen, back at the same supercharger here in Fort Lauderdale, the new one at the Wawa, which is at Broward and just west of 95. Got my big Wawa Diet Coke this morning. So there's more to this story than just what happened last night with almost running out of battery, or maybe not. I don't know. There's some new mysteries that have to be solved based on what happened last night. Let me show you what happened. Last night. Okay, we're gonna cue makeup-free Jen from like 11 p.m. last night, having a little bit of a freak out moment. My first ever like true range anxiety moment. And I want to say something about that real first, okay? I have had range concern, but not real range anxiety until last night, okay? A couple of times on the road trips, I've had the battery go down to like 3%, in between like, stops and, it's like getting down to 3%. There's a little bit of concern, range concern, but the Lucky's doesn't have that concern. We weren't sharing the concern at those days that it got down to 3% because the car still said it was going to make it. So ultimately, while I had a close eye on the percentage of the battery while I'm driving, ultimately the car said I was going to make it. I believed I was going to make it, and I did make it. Last night was very, very different though. Last night was not range concern. Last night was full-blown range anxiety, my first one. So let's go back to last night. Welcome back to TesLUCKY, the YouTube channel where you can follow the adventures of Lucky the Tesla. What an adventure tonight. We almost ran out of battery. For the first time in my ownership experience with Lucky, if I am truthfully honest with you viewers of TesLUCKY, I had my first bit of range anxiety. And it was a kind of unique circumstances that led to the range anxiety tonight. I kind of like the shot with the Tesla charger in the back. Sorry to be moving the camera like that. We're keeping it real. You see me? No makeup, no lipstick. Like, haven't washed my hair in 3 days. It's 10:34 at night. I just barely made it to the superchargers to get Lucky charged. I almost ran out of battery in like the worst part of Fort Lauderdale. Deep breath. Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened and the circumstances that led to my first range anxiety experience in a year and a half. And I can tell you it's never going to happen again. Never going to happen again. One time in my life have I run out of gas in an ICE vehicle. And I was a college student and I wasn't really planning and thinking things through the way I should. And we were like, whatever the circumstances were, I ran out of gas. It was like stupid. I just thought I could push it off another day or two, probably to like have Taco Bell money or something. And I've never even come close to running out of gas since. And this is going to be my one and only range anxiety experience with Lucky. So let me tell you what happened, okay? But first, as it relates to our channel, if you already love Tesla, if you're thinking about buying a Tesla, or if you're just curious about electric vehicles in general, please subscribe to our channel, TesLUCKY. All of our videos are Tesla related. We are aiming to share our Tesla ownership experience with the viewers, with the world of YouTube, to promote the real day-to-day life of EV ownership, and more specifically Tesla ownership. So yeah, so that's our channel plug here. It's like late, I'm tired, I'm stressed. Okay, this is clearly unscripted content here. Hi, Carly. Carly's back at the hotel with Daddy. So here's what happened today. So my husband, Storm, is working on a contracting job. I'm the contact tracer. He's the contractor. And he's up here in the Pompano Beach in the Fort Lauderdale area. So we decided to come up and spend the night with him in Fort Lauderdale tonight, have a nice Seasons 52 dinner. Carly had a doctor's appointment today. And so I left Big Pine Key this morning with the battery charged 100%. And then we drove to Miami, we drove around Miami, we drove to Pompano, we drove back to Fort Lauderdale. So listen to this, okay? I was planning to drop Carly off at the hotel where my husband was already, and then drive to the supercharger in Deerfield Beach to charge Lucky, and then drive up to the Seasons 52 in Boca. It was a really good plan. Everything was perfect. And then I got to the location where I thought the Courtyard Marriott was supposed to be, and it was a Walmart. And I had put in the wrong address in the navigation system. I had the street address right, but I had Pompano instead of Fort Lauderdale, so we went like 7 miles too far. Okay, so then we get in the car, we go back to the hotel. I don't know what percentage battery I'm at that point. I'm at like maybe 13, 14%. I decided I'm going to go get dinner and I'll charge in the morning. And I thought I could make it. So it was like 3, 4 miles to go pick up the Seasons 52. And I'm down to like 8% battery. So I jump on a destination charger at the Galleria Mall, which charged like pitifully slow. Like, great if you're shopping and you're just going to get a little extra charge. But I'm like sitting there like watching the charging, and I was getting like maybe like 4 miles of range per hour. It was charging at a really, really low ampage, really, really low volts. But nonetheless, I sat there for like 20 minutes and I put like 3 extra miles on the car. So then I'm at like 9% battery, and it says, you know, to get back to the hotel is like 3 miles, and then to get to the supercharger in the morning was like 4 miles. And I'm like, yeah, I got this, no problem. Because normally when Lucky's like parked in the garage and not plugged into the charger, I mean, we see like 1% battery degradation a night. So I don't think anything of it. I'm at 7% battery when we get to the hotel. And, you know, we take our Seasons 52 up and we just start, you know, doing our thing, having our dinner. Carly's gaming with Gianna and Sam on the phone. And then for some reason, I just picked up my phone and I tapped on the Tesla app and it said 1% battery. And I don't know how I went from 7% battery to 1% battery in like an hour. I've like never seen that happen. I'm going to have to call Tesla and see if I can figure out like what did I potentially do different than when I normally just have her sitting in the garage, like not plugged into the charger, that would cause such significant battery loss in like just an hour. So I told my husband, I got to go charge now. So I get in the car, I have 3 miles of range and I have 7 miles to go to get to the nearest supercharger. And I decided to go the 7 miles to the supercharger instead of the 4 miles to the destination charger, because, you know, I would have been sitting at the destination charger for like 3 hours. So I just took the chance. It seemed like a reasonable thing to do. So I listened to Franco Thank you, Franco. I turned off the air conditioning. I rolled down the windows. I put the suspension all the way on low, and I drove at really slow speeds. And I took the side roads. I did not get on the highway, I-95. I used regenerative braking as much as I could. I was like constantly, whenever possible, lifting up on the acceleration pedal to see the green come up on the screen to show that I was putting some like power back in the battery. And I made it, and I was at like 0 miles for like 4 or 5 miles of the journey. It was definitely stressful because it's now it's 10:42 at night. It was like 10:30 at night. I was not in a good part of town, and it's late. I don't even know. I guess I could have called a tow truck to tow Lucky to the superchargers. I don't know if I would have gotten somebody on the phone from Tesla. Maybe it's 24-hour support when you run out of battery. Like, thankfully, like I didn't have to figure that out. Now, I've seen some videos on YouTube of people who have taken their battery like all the way down to 0. And the really ironic thing is that within the last like 2 or 3 days, I was thinking about some like ideas of different types of videos that we could shoot for TesLUCKY. And I thought about like intentionally driving Lucky down to 0, like within like really close range of the house or the superchargers in Marathon, just to see what would happen, just to see if we could go an extra mile or two. Now I know in the real world that you can go a couple of extra miles, but seriously, who wants to? So I decided to just put on the mic and get the selfie stick out and film a little bit of this real life range anxiety for you, so that maybe you can learn from my error. If you're at a hotel in a different city and you're like 7 miles away from the supercharger and you're at 7%, just go charge. Just go do it right then and there. Meanwhile, I will call Tesla. I will see if I can get some sort of understanding as to how I could have like lost like 6% battery so quickly. If any of you viewers with Tesla have had similar experience, please share your story in the comments below for us and for the other viewers of TesLUCKY. And if you have any theories as to like what was going on with the battery that caused it to drain so quickly, please let me know. Okay, wow. Wow, right? It was like really like a unique experience with last night. Not in a good part of town, late at night. Yeah, it was a bit stressful. I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit stressful. But the story gets even weirder. Okay, it gets weirder. So listen to this. I leave here, the superchargers. I'm at like 51% battery. I drive back to the hotel, which is like 7 miles away, and the battery was then. I have notes here on this. At 11:11 p.m., the battery was at 47%. Then at 11:34 p.m., it was at 53%. It wasn't plugged in. I was like, this is so strange. And then the other thing that's strange about this is that it went from 7% down to 1% like in an hour, which is something I've never seen it do before. And then this difference between 47% and 53% is also 6%. 6% went away mysteriously. 6% came back mysteriously. And then just to get even weirder, at 11:47 p.m., I looked at the app again, and it was now 54%. It went up another percent. I don't understand this. So I had to call Tesla to see what I could learn from this experience. One other thing I just want to mention about the story from yesterday's charging before I tell you about my phone call to Tesla is that, we were in Miami and the traffic was so bad that we decided to get a Starbucks and just go charge at the Wynwood superchargers in Miami. That experience was also like a bust yesterday because I plugged into one of the chargers and was getting a really slow charge, and I moved to a different stall and I was still getting a really slow charge. And then Carly's like, well, this isn't a supercharger. And I'm like, well, yes, it is. Look at the screen. It's a supercharger. This came up, the little red icon. It's a supercharger. She goes, well, it's not one of the new fast superchargers. My gosh, she's so Tesla savvy, this wonderful 12-year-old Carly, daughter of mine. Yeah, she's right. So I looked in the navigation system in the screen, and sure enough, those chargers only go to 72 kilowatts. And we all know the new V3 chargers go to 250 kilowatts. And I don't think I've had any experience like that before. There's the 250 watt superchargers are so common that I don't think I've ever gone to a supercharger and not had like that potential with the charging. I mean, sitting there at 72 kilowatts, I mean, my Lucky was only getting up into like the high 50s, and that was with low battery. I mean, our battery was at like, 22% or something like that. So I got impatient and I was like, to hell with this, we'll charge later. And that's, of course, when charging later turned into charging tomorrow, turned into our whole thing last night. So I still stand by my lesson that I should have just charged the vehicle for 15 minutes before going to Seasons 52, and probably I wouldn't be here shooting this video then, would I? So maybe it was fate. We're going to learn something here. So let me tell you about my phone call with Tesla, okay? So first of all, I told the woman, she was fantastic, the whole story, okay? And I told her my theory is, now that I have this like new element with the the charge percentage going up after I returned to the hotel last night, my theory is that Lucky is not giving me an accurate representation of the battery, what the battery charge was. That I wasn't really going to run out of battery last night, that it was just a computer glitch. Like, was it all just a dream? That's what I think I had. Was it all just a dream experience? Driving here, thinking I could run out of battery. I think I had more battery power in the vehicle than the app and the screen behind the wheel was telling me. It just seems like that's a likely theory because of the fact that 6% lost, 6% comes back, and then the extra 1% just to make it weird. So I told her the whole story, my theory about it being a glitch. Ultimately, she said, I'm going to have to schedule a Tesla mobile service. So Franco, you're coming back to... Now, she did say that one of the theories from Tesla is that the third-party app was causing the battery drain that led me to get in the car at 11 o'clock last night and drive to the charger. I recognize how, like, technologically that's possible, but then you have the mystery of the percentage getting added back, so it doesn't seem to me like that's a logical theory. That was something that they just suggested. So I did ask her, like, what if I had run out of battery? What would that experience have been like? And she basically said it's, similar to like an ICE vehicle running out of gas. The vehicle just obviously stops having the ability to accelerate, and you sort of coast, and then when you're done coasting, you're done. That's it. What happens then? So she said, and I didn't know this before, I never really thought about it because I've never had range anxiety until last night. I've only had range concern. I'm going to coin that as a new phrase. Range concern, not as severe as range anxiety. She said there's 24-hour roadside assistance. It's available in the app, or you call the Tesla number and you press 1 where it says for flat tires, lockouts, and non-drivable vehicles, press 1. And there's 24/7 roadside assistance, and they come and they tow your car to the nearest supercharger or the nearest service plaza. So it would have made for a late night and a little bit more stress, but it wouldn't have been quote unquote, the end of the world. It's not like the car, explodes and, game over, right? I do want to say that, we have this channel, TesLUCKY, to document our Tesla ownership experience. And so far, our Tesla ownership experience has been overwhelmingly positive. As proof on all the other videos here on the channel, I think they're almost 99% positive, because that's what our experience has been like. But when something like this happens and there's a computer glitch that causes stress or is less than perfect, I want to show that as well, because cars aren't perfect, computers aren't perfect, the world isn't perfect, people, our bodies aren't perfect, nothing is perfect. So it is what it is. And if somebody's going to think about whether to buy an electric vehicle, buy a Tesla, I guess they got to understand that, these sort of things could happen. Are they likely to happen? Do they happen to everyone? Do they happen often? No. Could they happen? Of course. Could lightning strike Lucky right now? Of course, it could. It's a little bit rainy out there, but no lightning. Okay, it's a couple days later. We're back in Big Pine Key, and I have some updates for you and more learnings from my first and hopefully only experience with range anxiety. And first of all, the Tesla mobile service appointment that we scheduled with Franco has been canceled. Franco, we don't get to see you this week. So this is what happened. Someone from the Miami Tesla Service Center called me the same day I scheduled the Tesla mobile service appointment. He told me that they pulled Lucky's vehicle data remotely and did a full battery diagnostic and found no issues. So then I explained to him all the questions that I had and all of the concern from everything that had happened. And he gave me a very logical explanation, a little bit complex. It's just another reminder about how a Tesla is kind of like a mini spaceship in so many ways. But basically, this is what I learned. He said, when you have a low SOC, my new acronym du jour, state of charge, it's harder for the vehicle to get an accurate reading of the remaining battery available. So he said when the vehicle is asleep, it occasionally reconnects itself and then recalculates the battery percentage each time. And that sometimes it goes a little high and sometimes it goes a little low. And that when it's low state of charge, it's harder for the vehicle to do this accurately. So that was lesson number one. Really, really big takeaway. Actually, the biggest takeaway of this whole thing is that my range anxiety was self-inflicted. I consider this to be user error. I made a mistake. I, was kind of just procrastinated the charging until the next day when really the supercharger wasn't that far. And, either on my way to or from picking up dinner at Seasons 52, I should have just gone, 10 minutes out of the way, charged for 15 minutes, and this video would have never happened. I would have never had this whole range anxiety episode. So that's really my biggest takeaway. And I just had a false sense of security that I was going to have enough battery charge to make it to the next day, because I was at 7%, and typically I haven't seen more than 1 or 2% battery degradation overnight when the vehicle's not plugged in. But that's when the vehicle's at a much higher SOC, state of charge. So really, I should never go into a hotel or a friend's house where I'm not plugged in to charge without being, I would say, probably at least 25 or 30% battery. If anyone else has any opinions or suggestions on this, let me know. The learning never stops with Tesla. So the other thing I learned is that the cooling fans may have played a role. The gentleman from the service center said sometimes it can take 30 minutes to an hour for the vehicle to fully shut down. Hello, Carly.
Hi.
You coming to say hello?
Yes.
Show everybody your pretty eyeshadow. I'm just filming the end of the range anxiety video. I'm hoping to get it posted before Halloween.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Okay, so she makes a little appearance at the beginning and she makes a little appearance at the end. So the cooling fans may have played a role, depending on the temperature, you know, and you know, eating up a lot of that remaining 7% battery. The other thing that I learned, and I feel like I sort of knew this at one point, but may have like forgotten, is that the third-party apps, because I do use TesLUCKY, also wake up the vehicle periodically, and that can obviously that can drain on the battery and the range. So it says, what is this? Can lose range if you use third-party apps. So you got to decide, is all the extra data worth it? For me, it kind of is, because I love my data. And then they told me too that the Tesla mobile app is designed not to communicate as often with the vehicle as some of those third-party apps, that it only communicates with the vehicle as needed, like when you tap on it to adjust your AC or to check your battery, that type of thing, that the Tesla mobile app doesn't have that like frequent and constant communication with the vehicle like some of the third-party apps do. And then the last thing I wanted to share from this learning is that, you know, everything that I did to try to make it to the supercharger by turning off the AC, rolling down the windows, taking the suspension of the vehicle down into low mode, those were all good things to do, but I completely forgot about range mode. Let me show you exactly where range mode is in the MCU. Tap on the car right underneath Michael Bublé, and then tap on driving, and there it is, range mode. Completely forgot about range mode. Will save energy by reducing climate control power. It will also distribute torque between the motors to improve range. Heating or cooling the cabin may be less effective. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen, range mode. Turn it off. Hope to never need it again. Yes, so range mode. I forgot about it. Don't forget about it. If you're trying to make it to a supercharger and you're cutting it a little bit too close like I did, just swiping on range mode will actually more effectively preserve battery with all of the various vehicle functions than if you turn them off individually. I thought that was a really good learning. This has all been a very good learning experience for me. Only ran out of gas once in my life, learned my lesson, and I am predicting this is going to be my one and only experience in life with range anxiety. I think I've learned my lesson. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you know, cars aren't perfect, but we are just so head over heels in love with our Tesla. And obviously we created a whole YouTube channel to share information about our Tesla ownership experience. But what I want to say is that last November, we picked 30 features on the Tesla that we are thankful for, and we shot a different video each day of the month about a different feature. So I just want to reinforce that despite today's range anxiety, we are so thankful for all the wonderful things that our Tesla does. And I'm going to go ahead and queue up in the corner at the end of this video, go up in the corners, a link to the playlist of the I'm Feeling Thankful series that we did last November, 30 features in 30 days. If you want to learn more about your Tesla, you can just browse through the topics and pick some other TesLUCKY videos to watch. And then I'm also going to queue up our 12-volt battery video with Franco in the thumbnail. Since we don't get to see him this week in Big Pine Key, we can still see him in TesLUCKY. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in our next video, and it's almost time for Halloween. Oh my God. What an experience.